thousands of brilliant young Nigerians graduate with hope in their hearts and certificates in their hands. Yet, many of them remain unemployed because the world of work is asking for skills many schools never intentionally teach. Today, we are not here to criticize our schools. Neither are we here to criticize the government. We are here to bridge that gap. We are discussing the 10 employability skills every student needs, but which many schools still struggle to develop intentionally. Certificates are no longer enough. That was what we looked at yesterday with my guest, Dr. Adebare Gunjobi. Since the end of that program, my phone has not stopped ringing. Parents called, teachers called, school owners called, students called. Everyone asked just one question, not two, not three, not four. And the question they've been asking is, if certificates are no longer enough, then what is enough? Ladies and gentlemen, my listeners out there, today's program answers that question. Today, we are moving from diagnosis to prescription. Today is not about blaming government. It's not about blaming teachers. Now is it about blaming parents. Today is about preparing our children, not merely to pass examinations and obtain certificates, but to succeed in life. This is Professional Edge, Education Unlocked. This is the program where we challenge assumptions, x-ray problems, and offer practical, workable, and actionable solutions for educators, parents, school leaders, and policymakers. I'm Akin Ade, Charter School Administrator, School Growth Advocate, and former Principal of Loyola College. I'm your host today. Welcome to what I believe will become one of the most important conversations we have ever had. I'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Oxygen FM 96.9, and we are reaching you from the Knowledge Hub, Okeado, Ibadan. I'm still your regular host, Akin Ade. We are talking about why certificates are still important, but no longer enough. My dear listeners, before we begin talking about the 10 things every parent, every teacher, and every school owner must do to prepare our children for the future, permit me to ask one simple question. And that question is, has education failed? Has education failed? My emphatic answer to that question is no. Education has not failed. What has happened is that the world has changed. And unfortunately, many educational systems have not changed with the ever-changing world. There was a time in the past when obtaining a university degree almost guaranteed a job. Why? Because employers were primarily looking for people who possessed knowledge, and that was it. Then knowledge was scarce. If you had it, you became valuable. As a matter of fact, in those days, before students graduated, employment would be waiting for them. from various companies. In fact, they will be struggling. Not many people had that knowledge. The knowledge was scarce. But things have changed. But today, the world has changed dramatically. Knowledge is no longer scarce. It is everywhere. A student in Ibadan today can learn from professors in Harvard, professors in Oxford, Lagos, Cape Town, with nothing more than a smartphone and an internet connection. Artificial intelligence can answer questions in seconds. Information has become abundant. As a matter of fact, I heard what I'm about to say now from one of my childhood friends, Dr. Kunle Shogbeyin. He said, we now live in a world where information has become democratized. Therefore, today, the employers are no longer asking only what do you know. Today they ask another question. What can you do with what you know? And that changes everything. Now, permit me to make a very important clarification. Our listeners out there, the parents, and especially the students, because I've been hearing students, young ones saying, education is a scam. No. Please, don't understand the message of today's program. When we say certificates are no longer enough, we are not saying certificates are no longer important. Far from it. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, let me put it in one sentence that I hope every parent and every student listening today will remember. Certificates are still necessary, but they are no longer sufficient. Let me repeat that. Certificates are still necessary, but they are no longer sufficient. You may be talking of overseas countries, advanced countries. After all, they rely more on what you can do. How many Nigerian students are going to end up overseas? In Nigeria, certificates are still important. The only thing is that they are no longer sufficient. Years back, somebody close to us, a friend of ours, became a chartered accountant, was working in one of the banks, and there was to be promotion. Qualified accountant, HND holder, MBA. And the two of them that are being considered, the other person had a BSc in accounting, chartered accountant, and also MBA. The difference, BSc and MBA. Eventually, they settled for the person with BSc, chartered accountant, and MBA. Let me tell you what happened. The other person had to go back to university to go and study BSc so that the HND becomes BSc. That is to show you that in Nigeria, certificates are important. So we are not saying certificates are no longer important. What we are saying is that they are no longer sufficient. Certificates are still necessary, but you need to add to it. A certificate is still your entry ticket. You know what entry ticket is? When you have it, you can enter the stadium. It opens doors. It qualifies you to apply. It gives you credibility. But once the door opens, something else determines whether you move forward. And that something is your competence, your character, your communication skills, your ability to solve problems, your emotional intelligence, your willingness to keep learning in today's world. What I'm saying in essence is that your certificates may get you shortlisted, but your competence gets you hired. Your character helps you keep the job, and your commitment to lifelong learning helps you to grow on that job. Permit me for a few seconds to speak directly to our young people who are still in secondary schools, universities, and other tertiary institutions. Please, don't use today's program as an excuse to relax academically. Don't say, after all, certificates are no longer enough. No, that is not the message of today. As long as you are still in school, strive for academic excellence. Aim as high as you possibly can. He who shoots at the sky, he who aims at the sky shoots high. You are still in school, work towards a first class. If that is not possible, strive for a second class upper division. Why do I say this? Because whether we like it or not, the reality of today's labor market is highly competitive. Many reputable organizations receive hundreds of thousands of applications for only a few vacancies. In many cases, the class of degree becomes the first screening tool. Not because it tells the whole story, but because employers need a practical way to reduce the number of applicants before interviews begin. Permit me to share a personal experience with you. In 1987, I applied to Shell Petroleum Development Company after I saw the advert in one of the newspapers. I told you in those days, we used to buy newspapers, Times, to look for vacancies, and I applied. When we assembled for the recruitment exercise in Port Harcourt, everything was paid for from Ibadan, everything. Accommodation was paid for. Just think of it, feeding for 2 days, transport to and fro, everything paid for by Shell, a place you would like to work. So when we assembled for the recruitment exercise in Port Harcourt, we were informed by the officials of that company that they had received well over 200,000 applications for a very limited number of vacancies. Just imagine that. Over 200,000 applications. That was in the 80s, late 80s, for just a few positions. The officials explained that one of the ways they reduced number was by inviting candidates who graduated with first class or second class upper. By the grace of God, I received that invitation because I graduated with a second class upper division. That experience taught me a lesson I've never forgotten till date, and I've been sharing with anybody who cares to listen. A good degree may not guarantee success, but it can certainly open doors that might otherwise remain closed. Young people, if you still have the opportunity to study, study well, aim for excellence, do your best, because some doors may open simply because of the quality of your academic record. Till today, I know some banks, they don't take anything less than 2-1. Some will tell you credits in 5 subjects, including English and mathematics, at one sitting. Why do you think they are doing that? They want to save of a job. They are looking for the best, not somebody who has taken exams 3 or 4 times, combining results. And even when they say credit, when they see people who made A's, they will still not take those who made credit. Let's just add them to add to the number. But let me also encourage another group of listeners. Perhaps you graduated with a second class lower or a third class. Or maybe life did not even permit you to complete a university education. Please, don't conclude that your future has been destroyed. Life has not ended. Let me say that again. Life has not ended. Many successful entrepreneurs, business leaders, professionals, and innovators did not begin with perfect academic records. What they did was this. They kept learning. They acquired professional certifications. They developed practical skills. They built strong character. They became excellent at solving problems. And eventually, their competencies became louder than their certificates. Therefore, I'm telling you this afternoon, Never stop learning. I know of somebody that made a third class. Very brilliant person. Very brilliant. When I say brilliant, very brilliant. He made a third class in the university simply for one reason or the other, maybe youthful exuberance or whatever reason, made a third class. And when he saw that his guy was carrying a third class, he went back to the university. Postgraduate degree, distinction. Master's, distinction. PhD, distinction. PhD, overseas, distinction. So, never stop learning. Never stop improving yourself. Never stop growing. Last week on this program, our distinguished guest, Dr. Adebare Gunjobi, made a profound statement. He said, and let me quote him, 21st century learners cannot be effectively taught with 28th century methods. That statement has remained with me since last week Friday. Think about it. Our children are growing up in an age of artificial intelligence, automation, digital technology, and global competition. Yet, in many places, we are still preparing them using methods designed for a completely different world. Completely different. The children have changed. The world has changed. Therefore, our teaching must also change as teachers. Teaching today is no longer merely about transferring information. It is about inspiring curiosity, building character, developing competencies, encouraging creativity, teaching children how to think, not merely what to think, helping them become lifelong learners. That is the challenge before every teacher. That is the responsibility before every school owner. That is the expectation before every parent. If certificates are still necessary but no longer sufficient, the obvious question becomes, what else must every child leave school with? Ladies and gentlemen, my listeners out there, this is the heart of today's program. After this short break, I'll be sharing what I consider the 10 life skills every parent, every teacher, every school must help every child develop before graduation. Please don't go away, because the most valuable thing your child leaves school with may not be written on the certificate. I'll be right back. You are welcome back, our listeners out there. You are still listening to The Professional Edge, Education Unlocked, on Oxygen FM 96.9, coming to you from the Knowledge Hub, Okeado, Ibadan. If you are just joining us, today's topic, we are examining the 10 skills, the 10 things every parent, teacher, and school must do if we truly want our children to succeed in life. Before we went on break, we established one important truth. Certificates are still necessary, but they are no longer sufficient. The obvious question, therefore, is what else should every child leave school with? Permit me to share what I consider to be the 10 life skills every child must graduate with. These are not just skills for getting a job. They are skills for succeeding in life. And skill number 1 is what I call the skill of learning. How to learn. The skill of learning, how to learn. The greatest advantage any child can possess is not merely what he knows today. It is his ability to keep learning tomorrow, day after, next week, next year. The world that you are living in this 21st century is changing fast. Technology is changing. Jobs are changing. Businesses are changing. The knowledge of yesterday are no longer sufficient to run the businesses of today. The person who keeps learning keeps growing. Parents, don't only ask your children, what did you learn in school today? Also ask, what new thing did you teach yourself today? Teach your children to become lifelong learners. And that's very important. The day you stop learning, you are beginning to die gradually. And they say readers are leaders. Teach your children to become lifelong learners. Don't stop. Keep on learning. Doesn't mean that you go back to university. Keep reading. Read. Read outside the courses you study in university. Read outside the job that you are doing presently. Your job may change all of a sudden and you are required to come and do another job. How prepared are you? Skill number 2, the skill of solving problems. Employers do not pay salaries because people possess certificates. Oh, that was in the past. They pay because people solve problems. And that is why one of the favorite interview questions is, what can you do? What are you bringing to the table? What are you going to do differently? What contributions can you make to this organization? The bigger problem you can solve, the greater your value becomes. Let me repeat that. The bigger the problem you can solve, the greater your value becomes. Schools should therefore teach children not merely to memorize answers, but to think, to analyze, to question, to create solutions. And every parent should encourage curiosity instead of punishing every question. When your child asks questions, don't be annoyed. Don't get angry. Don't feel frustrated even if you don't know. Don't think the child is challenging you like our parents did. Otimbe the question, you are asking too much questions. My friend, go and sit down. Even if you don't know, your child is exhibiting one of the traits that will make him relevant in the 21st century working environment. Skill number 3 is what I call the skill of communication. I had some young guys, boys and girls on radio today talking about communication. Nice one. I learned a lot from them too. Many brilliant people remain unnoticed because they cannot express themselves. I've seen many like that. When it comes to the field from which they graduated, ask any question. They will answer you. But at a point, they are no longer able to express themselves in a way that you understand them. Knowledge hidden inside your head cannot change the world, though. Teach children to speak confidently. Teach them to write clearly. Teach them to listen attentively. Communication opens doors that intelligence alone sometimes cannot. Let me repeat that one. Communication opens doors that intelligence alone sometimes cannot open. Skill number 4, the skill of working with people. Are you a team player? Can you work with others? Will you not be toxic when you reach another environment where others are? Life is a team sport. You can't succeed alone. You cannot succeed alone. This is one skill that you have to develop. Even within the family setting, you will see that some people are loved. Everybody likes Lagbaja. Everybody likes this. Everybody like. Why is everybody liking him? Like, hey, it appears. And one of my friends said, even God had favorites. And when I said why, he said, the Bible says, God said, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated, yet there is no unrighteousness with God. Even Jesus had favorites. Peter, John, James. It depends on the way you relate with people. Relationship matters. Life is a team sport. No successful organization is built by one person. Let us teach our children respect. Respect others. You want to be respected? Respect others, because respect begets respect. Teach them cooperation, how to work with others. Teach them empathy, to put themselves in other people's shoes, see how it feels. Teach them to celebrate other people's success, not to be envious, not to be hungry because somebody is going ahead in life. Destinies differ. The ability to work with people will take many young people further than academic brilliance alone. And I can tell you, in workplace, I've seen it in these almost 40 years. I've seen it. Not because you are brilliant. Your bosses, they will like somebody better than you. You may be doing better than him, you may know the job more than him. But the ability to relate with others is very important at workplace. I've seen it, I've enjoyed it. And I've applied it when I was a boss in a place. You see people, you just like them. Not be juju, not be village people, they follow you. Some people cannot just relate with others. And it started long time ago. Self-centered. They only think about themselves. Everything is all about themselves. Me. Teach our kids to celebrate other people's success. The ability to work with people will take many young people further than academic brilliance. And skill number 5, the skill of character and integrity. Permit me to say something every parent should hear. Your child's greatest asset is not the certificate hanging on the wall. Let me repeat that. Your child's greatest asset is not the certificate hanging on the wall. It is the character living inside the heart of that child. Competence may likely get you employed, but character determines whether people continue to trust you or not. When people trust you, they will help you to grow, to develop on the job. But when people don't trust you, you're on your own. No? Honesty, discipline, humility, respect, reliability. These qualities never go out of fashion. See people that are honest. Even when they misbehave, their bosses will stand up for them. When they make mistakes, and you now say, am I the only person? I only made one mistake. Nobody is talking about it. That person has been making mistakes all this while, and they are forgiving him. They are allowing him to get away with it. No. When you see people that are honest, they are disciplined. They've been coming to work regularly at the right time. Even when they're late 2 or 3 times, the bosses will stand up for them. It happened to me. There are members of my staff that when they come late to school, I will stand up for them and say, okay, this person doesn't behave like that. No, something must have happened. No query. And I hope that you give query. Even when they come late 1 day or 2 days, you will give them query. Attitude. Dear listeners, we've covered the first 5 already. Notice something. In all those 5 that we have covered now, none of these skills replaces education. None of the skills we have discussed so far replace education. What do? They strengthen education. They make your certificates more valuable because they enable the holder of the certificate to make meaningful use of it. After this short musical break, we'll continue with skills 6 to 10. Thank you. Welcome back to the Professional Edge Education Unlocked on Oxygen FM 96.9. Before we went on that short break, we examined the first 5 life skills every child should graduate with. Now, let's conclude with the final 5. Personally, I believe these 5 will become even more important over the next 10 years. Yes, they become more important over the next 10 years. Skill number 6, the skill of digital intelligence. Skill number 6 is what I call the skill of digital intelligence. We are raising children for a digital world. Whether we like it or not, artificial intelligence has arrived. Automation has arrived. Digital technology has arrived. The question is no longer whether our children will use technology. The question is, will technology use them? Or will they use technology wisely? I'm sure you must have come across these adverts on YouTube. I've seen it several times. For people over 40, they have been asked to go and learn. And you see, in that advert, you see somebody's job being threatened because somebody suddenly came around with AI, knowledge of AI tools. And even at 40-something, we still have to go and learn AI. So I'm not only speaking to the young ones, I'm also speaking to the older ones. Yours truly, I also went for that lesson. I paid 56,000 naira to learn AI tools. So if you are still young and you have not learned, tell your parents, let them give you money to go and learn. This is the word of technology. MS Word, PowerPoint. These are things you are going to use at work. Nobody's going to write anything on the board for you again. So, every child should leave school knowing how to use technology. Not merely for entertainment, but for learning, for research, for innovation, for productivity, and for creating value. Parents, please, don't only buy smartphones for your children. Teach them how to use those smartphones to build their future. Skill number 7, the skill of financial intelligence. Skill number 7, the skill of financial intelligence. Permit me to ask every parent listening now, how many years do our children spend in school? 12, 15, sometimes 20 years. Yet, many graduates without knowing how to prepare a simple budget, without understanding savings, without understanding investing, without understanding debt, without understanding compound interest that Albert Einstein called the 8th wonder of the world. It is therefore surprising that many educated people still struggle financially. Is it surprising? My listeners out there, financial intelligence is now a life skill. Teach children that money is not only to be spent, it must be managed, it must be saved, it must be invested, and it must multiply. Because earning money and managing money are two completely different skills. Let me repeat that. You must teach your children that money is not only to be spent, it must also be managed, money must be saved, money must be invested, and you must teach them how to multiply money wisely, not through Ponzi schemes or get rich quick schemes. No. Because of why? Because earning money and managing money are two completely different skills. You must teach your children that. Skill number 8 is what I call the skill of adaptability. Skill number 8 is what I call the skill of adaptability. Let me say this, one of the greatest dangers today is preparing children for only one career. Many jobs that exist today did not exist 15 years ago. I've seen people moving from jobs, people who read microbiology. Today, they have acquired certifications in different areas in the digital world. They have moved. They didn't say, I graduated with BSc microbiology. I graduated with BSc philosophy. There was a guy that served in my school when I was still at work. This guy read a completely different course. But even that was about 5 years ago. This guy was into technology and he was superb. The moment he finished service, very good guy in further mathematics and physics. The moment he finished, I was even planning for those students to retain him for me because he was very good, was very hardworking. I call him my friend. I love the guy. The next day, Oga, I got a job. Got a job. Before he graduated, he got a job because he did not limit himself to the course he studied in the university. He has acquired different skills. So don't prepare your children for only one career, because many jobs that exist today did not exist 15 years ago. And many jobs that exist today may disappear within the next 15 years. Therefore, our children will become adaptable. Teach them not to fear change. Teach them to embrace learning. Teach them to develop new skills throughout their lives. The future belongs to people who can adjust without losing their values. Skill number 9 is what I call the skill of entrepreneurship and initiative. Now, listen to me carefully. I'm not saying every child must become an entrepreneur. No, that's not what I'm saying. Some will become doctors, some engineers, some teachers, some lawyers, some civil servants, and we need them all. But every child should develop an entrepreneurial mindset. What do I mean? Teach your children to identify problems. Teach them to think of solutions. Teach them to create value. Teach them initiative. Teach them not to wait helplessly for opportunities, but to learn how to create opportunities. Whether they work for themselves or for someone else, this mindset will make them more valuable. What I'm trying to say is this. If they have this spirit, entrepreneurial spirit, if they're working for somebody, all well and good. If they're working on their own, they are on their own, all well and good. They will find something to do once they know how to look for opportunities, how to create value. People pay for the problems you solve for them. Skill number 10 is what I call the skill of purpose. The skill of purpose. Skill number 10. The skill of purpose. This is what I consider the most important skill of all. Purpose. A child who has certificates, a child who has skills, a child who has money and influence but has no sense of purpose may still live an empty life. Please help our children discover who they are. Help them discover what they are passionate about. I heard this from Pastor Sam Adeyemi years ago. How do you discover your passion? What are you passionate about? You don't know what to do. And he said, when you see people or you see a situation that irritates you, It just irritates you. But that is where your passion lies. It irritates you. They are not doing well. And you have a feeling that you can do it better than the way they are doing it. What they are doing, it just irritates you. Can they do better? That is where your passion lies. Please, help our children to discover who they are. Help them discover what they are passionate about. Help them to discover how they can use their gifts, not just to serve themselves, but to serve humanity. You know why? Success asks, how much did you earn? But purpose asks, whose life became better because you lived? And in the end, purpose gives meaning to every other achievement. Their parents, their teachers, their school owners, their policymakers. As I look at these 10 skills, I realize something. None of them asked us to abandon certificates. Instead, they asked us to make certificates more powerful. Education should produce graduates who are knowledgeable, graduates who are competent, graduates that are ethical, graduates that are creative, financially intelligent graduates, digitally confident graduates, emotionally mature graduates, driven by purpose. That is the kind of education that prepares children, not merely for examinations and certificates, but for life. My dear listeners out there, whether you're a teacher, a principal, a school owner, you're a parent, as you listen to these 10 skills, how many can you honestly say whether your child or your students are developing today? And if your child or students are lacking in some of them, remember this: it is never too late to begin. I say once again, it is never too late to begin. It is never too late to begin. Dear parents, permit me to ask you a very personal question. When your child graduates one day, what will make you happier? The certificate in your child's hand, or the confidence that your child can stand on his or her own feet in life? To me, the honest answer is we want both. We want the certificate, we want the competence, we want academic excellence, and we want life readiness. That's why I want to invite every parent listening today to make 5 simple commitments. Not to me, not to Oxygen FM, but to your own child. Just 5 commitments, not 10. Commitment number 1. Tell yourself that you will celebrate effort, not only results. Parents, marks are very important. Grades are important. But never let your child believe that your love depends on report cards. I remember when my dad was still alive, each time I came third, my dad would ask me, the person that came first, does he have 2 heads? The person that came second, I think came second. The only thing that mattered to my dad, of blessed memory, was you must come first. And I started like that too, until I learned later. Never let your child believe that your love depends on report cards. Celebrate hard work. Celebrate discipline. Celebrate improvement. Celebrate perseverance on the part of the child. Because children who are praised only for success may eventually become afraid of failure. And children who become afraid of failure stop attempting things. Let me end with this quote. A report card measures performance in school. It does not measure the full potential of a child. Let me repeat that. A report card measures performance in school. It does not measure the full potential of a child. Commitment number 2. Say to yourself that you will raise a reader before I raise a graduate. One of the greatest gifts you can give your child is a love for reading. Not only textbooks. Encourage them to read biographies. One of the favorite quotes I like said, "The secrets of the success of rich men, great men, are in their stories." This is what you see in biographies. Encourage them to read history books, science books, finance books, faith, leadership. Great readers become great thinkers. Great thinkers become great leaders. A child who graduates from school but never graduates into reading will eventually stop growing. Commitment number 3. Say to yourself, I will teach my child values before valuables. I will teach my child values before valuables. My dear parents at home, the world can replace lost money. It can replace lost opportunities. But it struggles to replace lost character. I'm begging you this afternoon, teach your children honesty. Teach them humility. Teach them gratitude. Teach them respect. Teach them kindness. Teach them responsibility. You know why? Character is what remains when nobody is watching. If you give your child everything except character, you may have given too much and taught too little. Commitment number 4. Say to yourself, I will expose my child to the real world. I will expose my child to the real world. Don't allow education to remain inside classroom walls. Let children visit workplaces. You're a school owner, bring them to Osgin FM. Let them see workplaces. I think we have received a number of schools here. They have come here to our studios. Show them. As they are growing up, show them. Let children visit factories, farms, banks, hospitals, radio stations, courtrooms, construction sites, museums, innovation hubs. Let them see how knowledge is applied. Because education becomes meaningful when children understand why they are learning. Children don't only need classrooms, they need windows into the real world. Commitment number 5. Tell yourself, I will prepare my child for life, not merely for examinations and certificates. Permit me to end with this. Parents, one day your child will leave your house. When that comes, the questions life will ask your child will be very different from the questions asked in WAEC and NECO examinations. Life will ask your child, can you solve problems? Can you work with people? Can you manage money? Can you recover from disappointment? Can people trust you? Can you be trusted? Can you continue learning? Those are the examinations that determine success. Schools prepare children for examinations. Parents must also prepare children for life. Remember this, my dear parents. Your greatest success is not raising children who merely pass examinations. Your greatest success is raising adults whom society will be proud to trust. And before I leave this segment, if you are listening with your child, or even if your child is not beside you, I invite you to quietly make these promises today. I will encourage you to pursue excellence. I will help you discover your purpose. I will help my child to value character more than achievements. I prepare my child for life and not just for examinations. And I will never stop believing in what my child can become. When I come back, I'll be riding up, because I want to tell you a certificate may open your child's first door. Character, competence, and continuous learning will determine how many more doors life will open to your child. Let me quickly talk to our teachers. Dear teachers, I was part of you for 35 years. So I'm talking to you as one of you, not as a broadcaster, as one of you. I know what it means to stand before 40, 50, 60, even 80, 100 students every day. I know what it means to prepare lesson notes, to mark scripts late into the night, to counsel struggling students, to answer difficult parents, to work with limited resources, to carry burdens that nobody sees. I know, because I've walked that road. Permit me to begin by saying thank you. Thank you for choosing one of the noblest professions on earth. Because every doctor, every nurse, every lawyer was first taught by a teacher. Even every governor, every president was first taught by a teacher. We thank you. We thank you. Teachers, you don't merely teach subjects, you shape destinies. Permit me to also say this with love. The world our students are entering is no longer the world we entered during our own time. Our methods must therefore continue to evolve. Last week, Dr. Gunjobi reminded us that 21st century learners cannot be effectively taught with 20th century methods. That statement is not a criticism, it is an invitation. An invitation for every teacher to become a lifelong learner. Because the day a teacher stops learning, that teacher gradually stops leading. The best teachers are not those who know everything. They are those who never stops learning. Please, I want to plead with you. Don't lose hope on any child. Don't give up. Don't think that this child can know better. I have seen situations, people that we wrote off, written up by their teachers, they became somebody greater in life. How would they remember you? Their teachers, their principals, their school owners. Let us pay more attention to the children put under our care. Dear listeners, as we draw the curtain on today's edition of Professional Edge, Education Unlocked, permit me to leave you with one final thought. The future does not suddenly arrive one morning. The future is being created as we are speaking today. It is being created in our homes. It is being created in our classrooms. It is being created in our staff rooms. It is being created in the decisions we make, and sometimes in the decisions we postpone. If you want a different Nigeria, we must raise different children. Children who are academically sound, emotionally mature, financially intelligent, digitally confident, morally grounded, and committed to lifelong learning. That responsibility belongs to all of us, not to government alone, not to schools alone, not to parents alone. It belongs to all of us, because it takes a whole society to raise one child. Yorubas will say, "Ẹnìkan ló ń bímọ, igbe èèyàn ló ń wò." I want to thank you. Parents, I've spoken to you a lot, but I want to thank you again. Never outsource your child's future. Schools educate, parents shape. And as we close for today, I want you to remember this, that certificate may open the first door of opportunity. Competence opens the next. Character keeps the door open. Continuous learning opens doors you never imagined existed. Therefore, as we close today, I want you to remember, we do not inherit the future from our parents. We prepare it through our children. This has been the Professional Edge, Education Unlocked on Oxygen FM 96.9. Thank you for investing this hour in the future of our children. This is Akinade, reminding you that education builds minds, leadership builds people, but character builds generations. Let's build the three. Keep learning, keep leading, and keep making a difference. Until next Friday, let's prepare that future together. God bless you.